All right, welcome back to Rob Schmitt Tonight. The president, Mr. 10% for the big guy, unveiling a 38-page anti-corruption strategy, kicking off a week of policy initiatives to fight corruption as a core national security interest. Oh, how ironic. No word yet on how this will affect the Hunter Biden playbook on how to use your dad's name to get rich and get your family filthy rich as well. Remember that picture, playing golf with some of the guys from the Ukrainian gas company, right? Later this week, about 110 countries will participate in a summit for democracy, aiming to take up corruption as a core national security interest.
You're always trying to make yourself better, to lead better, to push other countries to be better. And this is an opportunity to do exactly that.
So let's make it better. Shortly after that statement, Psaki was questioned about Hunter's recent divestment from a Chinese firm, as well as the new book, Laptop from Hell, debunking earlier claims that content from his laptop was just a Russian disinformation effort. And, well, Jen Psaki, of course, didn't like that question at all.
The president's son is not an employee of the federal government, so I'd point you to his representatives. And as it relates to the book, I've neither had the time nor interest in exploring or reading the book.
Yeah, why would you care if your boss is corrupt and his son collects money and pays him off for doing his job in the federal government? Why would anybody care about that? Such a stupid question. Why even ask? He's not even an employee of the federal government. And of course the media. Oh yeah, well that makes sense. Why would we ever talk about this? The administration, a walking contradiction, and almost nobody in our press cares, but some people do. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joins us now to talk about this. Sir, good to see you again. The audacity of Joe Biden to make countering corruption a top priority. The irony is not lost on me.
I'm reading this, and of course, I know this for 2.5 years. And he fits every category here. Do you know he was a laughing stock in Ukraine when he'd go there? Because he'd give talks every once in a while on corruption. And the oligarchs and others in Ukraine used to say, he's more corrupt than we are. And he's lecturing us on corruption. Remember, you said 10% for the big guy. That's true for one deal.
Yeah.
But most of the deals, it was 50% for the big guy, based on the text that Hunter sent to his daughter on January 2nd, 2019, in which he says, when you take over, you should realize I pay all the expenses for the family. So that's hiding money in real estate, which is what he talked about here.
Right.
They also laundered 2 multi-million-dollar payments. Joe got $900,000 for one of them, and that's directly in the communiques from the government of Latvia. There's also the Ukrainian prosecutors for 5 years have been trying to get their hands on a offshore bank account that the Treasury Department is blocking. And he fits every criteria here. And of course, 50% of everything Biden's son earned went to Biden. So that's one of the things they talk about here, not laundering payments, not disguising payments. The laundered payments went through 4 countries.
Yeah.
And were described as loans until they actually went into the company's account.
You know, based off the texts and the pictures, the emails from the laptop, obviously Miranda Devine's got the new book out saying that Hunter was deeply embedded in the inner sanctum of Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin as well. Quote, Hunter Biden was rollicking around the world in hot spots like Monte Carlo, Lake Como, with corrupt oligarchs who were showering him with money and diamonds and favors. And it's amazing to me to see that this president and his family have turned out to be everything that they told us that Trump was. You're talking about the Russians, you're talking about the Chinese, and yet there's just no interest in the story. And I mean, I know we talk about this so often, but it's just so unbelievable to me that nobody cares.
Particularly right now with him sitting down with Putin, he got a minimum of $3.5 million from Moscow. China, $30 million.
Yeah.
A contract for another $30 million. Had he not become president, signed and put in his name. The guy made a fortune from China. And remember, I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to the New York Post. China and Russia have the rest.
Yeah.
And if my hard drive is any indication of how perverted this family is, they own him completely. If they ever put out the pictures there, well, maybe not. Maybe they just wouldn't be published. I mean, the family is a crime family. Yeah. 30 years, the hard drive describes 30 years of taking money for being a senator, for being vice president, and then for potentially being president. And it amounts to about $30 million bare minimum.
Right. And what it proves really to me is that to the Washington established, to the mainstream press, which is a part of that in my opinion, they're more comfortable with just traditional American political corruption than they are with somebody coming in from the outside. That's what it really proves. Rudy Giuliani,
Oh,
sir,
yeah,
thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I mean, this isn't worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. And this
America's
is their
a
new
laughing-
anti-corruption plan.
He
from the Biden
makes
administration.
our country a laughing stock with this.
Yeah, he really does. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time. Always good to see you.